You're listening to the Next Level Sports Podcast, episode number 11, featuring Ashley Liles from Message by Massage. And today's conversation is be all about massage therapy for athletes. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Next Level Sports Podcast. Take your game to the next level today by learning mental skills from top-level coaches and professionals.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. My guest today is Ashley Liles. She is the owner of Message by Massage. She is a licensed massage therapist and certified orthopedic manual therapist. But unlike most massage therapists, she also has a clientele in professional football athletes and WWE wrestlers. And you're going to learn a lot today that you didn't know about massage therapy. I know there's a lot of things for me that I didn't know. And I can't wait for you to hear this great conversation. So let's get right into it. Here's Ashley Liles. What brought you into doing massage therapy work?
I get asked that question a lot. I went to college for finance and marketing. Never once did I ever think about massage therapy. Had never had a massage at that point. I left college and started as an administrative assistant. And my boss was talking to me one day, and he mentioned how his 40th anniversary was coming up at the company. And I totally freaked out. I saw myself saying that, and I was like, that is not what I want to do. And I knew at that moment that I did not want to work in the administrative field. Also at that time period, I had gone to a party, and one of my girlfriends was like, hey, my shoulders hurt. Can you rub them? And I was like, okay. So we're sitting there and I'm working on her, and she turns to me and she says, you're really good at this. You should think about doing it as a career. And that was one of those moments in life where it just hits you, and you remember that one thing that one person said or that one moment, and it's small, but you remember it. So it just stuck with me. And I was in an administrative job that I didn't want to be in. And I kept thinking, my friend Monica, she's like, you should do this. You should do this. And it just kind of reverberated in my head over and over again. And when I feel like something comes to me and I think about it multiple times, and I start exploring that and see where that goes. So I was at work and I just looked up massage therapy schools because I didn't know what it took to become a massage therapist. So I was like, well, I found 4 schools. I submitted my information to all of them. Only one of them returned my call, and I went to that school. At the time, it was called the Connecticut Center for Massage Therapy in Newington. It is now owned by another company in another location. But that's how I got started. And I went to the orientation, and I liked it, and it just became who I am and what I do and what I love. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life until I was about 22.
Okay.
Never once ever did I ever think about it before that moment.
And most people that go to massage therapy and they become a massage therapist, they typically work with the general public. You, however, work with athletes. How did you get into that?
So I also do work with the general public. I've been doing that for close to 10 years. I started off my business on my own. A lot of people will start working for somebody and get that experience and get the clientele through whatever company that they're working with. But I'm Miss Independent, and I didn't want to have to account myself to someone. I was like, I want to do my own thing. So I started off on my own. And I literally remember the moment I said, okay, how do I get clients? I'm by myself. I'm alone. I have no experience. How do I get clients? So I just started going from there. And it took me a good solid probably 2 years to find the right location for me. Location is so important. And then to start building up from there. And I would say my company is very successful at this point. However, that is not enough for me. So I can live off of my company. My company is satisfactory in that sense. Me, I want to travel. I like to explore. I like experiences. And the WWE kind of opened my eyes to working with athletes. I never actually tried to get work with them. It kind of fell into my lap. And so that showed me, hey, I love this. And so last year, I started to say, well, I want to work in like professional sports in another aspect besides wrestling. And again, I was like, well, I like the aspect of football. So again, I sat there and I said, how do I work in pro sports? I knew not one single person in a pro sports. Nobody from the NBA knows me. Nobody from the NFL knows me from any of those avenues. So I had a LinkedIn account. I didn't use it. I had probably 200 friends or contacts on there. And that was last November. And I have networked like a mad woman, pretty much. So last November, I had about 200 contacts. Today, I have about 9,000. And they're all in related fields that I'm looking to get. And they're not just random people. Like, so I want to talk to people who we can collaborate somehow. And people reach out to me. And like I said, I share my journey and what I go through and the hard times and the good times, all the meetings, the paperwork, the marketing. I can see how a lot of companies fail in their first year. It's a lot of work, and I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of work that it takes. And if you have enough passion and drive, you can do it. But you have to stick to it. You have to be consistent, and you have to push through those hard times. I have had times when trying to get into the pro world, and I was discouraged. You hear a lot of no's. A lot of people, I'm very good at what I do, and I know that I can help people. But how am I supposed to work in the pro team world if nobody knows I exist? I did close myself off before. Up until last November, I hated the idea of networking, and I never did it. And I wasn't good at it because I never tried. And when I said to myself, how do I get into pro sports? I knew that the very first thing I was going to have to do was start networking. I was going to have to start meeting people. And so that's what I did on LinkedIn. And I just went through, I typed in WWE, and I requested everyone who has that in their field. I typed in NFL. I requested everyone who works in the NFL field, the NBA, the MLB, all of those avenues. And I just started meeting people, and I started putting up on LinkedIn what it was that I was looking for. So people were reaching out to me, but they weren't the people that I needed to reach out to me. So then I started to direct message a lot of people, and that is where I started to see some progress, is when I direct message people. And for every 100 messages you send, maybe one or two will respond back, but that's all you need is that one avenue, and you never know where it's going to come from. And that's why I'm open to all opportunities, because you never know where those opportunities will lead. For instance, I volunteered at a dental clinic to work with kids. So the kids were getting free dental care, and I helped because there were 300 of them. You don't want kids running all over. So I was helping to organize the kids, get them where they needed to go. At that dental clinic, I met the four New York Giants athletes. I gave them my card. I told them what I'm looking for. And that's how I got my first pro athlete, was from a dental clinic. So you never know where that will lead. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I went back in my head and I'm like, well, how did I get to there? How did I get from the dental clinic? So I just backtracked to all the avenues that led me there. And they were totally random things. And they were small things that didn't matter, but it got me to where I needed to be.
Excellent, excellent. Now for, say, a high school or college athlete that has heard of like massage therapy, but may not be aware of some of the benefits. What are some of the benefits of an athlete going out to get something like a massage?
Well, when I speak to like team leaders and coaches and things like that, one of the first things I say is if you have an unhealthy athletes, you don't have a team. That's their health. If they're healthy, their team is great. If they're not healthy, that's money lost. Any injury that an athlete experiences, money lost for the athlete, money lost for the team. It's just so you need the healthy people. And where I come in is it's because of all the training that these athletes do, you're going to get tight. If you're too tight, you're not going to run as fast. When you're doing the NFL Combine, you're tested on your speed. If you're not flexible enough, or if you strained yourself, or if you your workout was too hard the day before and your body tightened up, you're not going to be as fast. And in the pro world, if the next guy is a half a second faster than you, that's going to make the difference on he goes to the NFL and you don't. So that's where I come in, is I help improve that flexibility and that range of motion. I work from different aspects depending on, my work will be different if you're going to play a game in a week versus if you're going to play it tomorrow. So that's why you have to go to someone who's trained and knows what they're doing, has experience in that. Because one aspect is if you get a really deep tissue massage the day before you're going to play a big game, that's going to tire out your muscles and you're not going to be as fast. And you're more prone to injury because your muscles are tired. You're not on your top of your game. So there's different ways to approach it. But if I did it a week before a game, you're going to be okay because your body's going to recover by that point. So that's why I tell people you really need someone who knows what they're doing and can help. And I have asked people, the athletes that I've worked on, I don't want to just go in this field and say, hey, I want this, give it to me. I'm going to have to tell people why. So I do a lot of research. All the athletes I've worked with, I ask them, is my work effective for you? Be honest, tell me, because I want to be effective. And if I'm not, I need to find out how I can be more effective. And I was like, is it worth it, the type of work that I do before you go out and do your agility testing? I actually worked at a combine. I worked on the field as they were doing their testing. And I did work on them before they would go run. So I would ask them, is this benefiting you? And every single person has said yes. It helped improve their times. These guys know how fast they run. And when I worked on them, they ended up going faster. So a couple of them told me that. So it's beneficial, and that's why I'm pursuing it, because I think it's a good idea. And it's not just me thinking it's a good idea. The 1,000 athletes that I've probably worked on this year have all said it's a good idea and that it's effective.
So I think many people probably had that misconception that it was just, oh, I'm injured or something hurts, I need to go get a massage. But one of the biggest benefits is actually increasing flexibility. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm huge on stretching. I stretch myself. If I didn't stretch, I have an issue in my back. If I didn't learn how to stretch it the correct way, I would probably have a hard time walking. But because I do that specific stretch every day, and anytime it flares up, I stop what I'm doing and I do that stretch. My back, I don't have to take any medication. I have no pain, really. And then when I feel it flare up, I will just do that stretching. So I'm big on stretching. I've asked a lot of athletes, what is your stretching like? And a lot of them say they don't do much of it, which I'm like, are you crazy? You're working in a pro world and you don't stretch? And honestly, a lot of them don't. And if they do it a little bit. I've asked the guys, does your team have you stretch? Does your coach have you stretch? Does your personal trainer have you stretch? A lot of them say a little bit, not too much. If your body doesn't have that range of motion and you go and you perform, you're likely to get injured because you're not at the top. Your body's not in top shape. So a lot of people, right now it's about me educating them why what I do will help them in terms of injury prevention. Like I said, if you're injured, that can mean the world in your career. And we all know the football lifespan is about 4 years. And if you're healthy, maybe you can extend it longer. If you're not healthy, if you don't do the right training, if you don't do the stretching, the massage therapy, the chiropractic, the whatever avenue it is that helps you, if you don't do those things, your career is going to be shorter. That's just how it's going to be.
Obviously, these athletes, they spend a lot of time in the gym, conditioning, strengthening. How big of a role do you think that has to do with injuries? Do you think athletes nowadays are spending a little too much time in the weight room and not enough time stretching?
I can say the stretching is not enough for most of the people I've talked to. A lot of them don't do it at all, or they do it a little bit. You need to, if you're a football player in the NFL, you need to focus on getting your hips as loose as they can. You can run faster. You're going to it depends what position you're playing, but you can take hits. So you need to make sure that your body is in top shape to handle those pressures that are going to be on your body. So from everyone that I've talked to in WWE, NFL, NBA, people who just the general public and their sports that they do. I was very surprised at how many of them don't condition their body how they need to. They go to the gym, they work out. They don't have that recovery mode for that workout that they did in the gym. There's ways that you can reduce soreness. There's ways that you can increase, like you said, turning your head, things like that, when you need to do quick movements in the field. So I was just very surprised at how a lot of people didn't understand. Although they didn't do it, and they also didn't understand that they needed to do it. And these people who are getting paid millions of dollars to do these careers don't know something as simple as, hey, you should probably stretch every day if you're going to be putting your body through that. So I educate people, and I ask them questions like, what do you typically do? How do you train? What are you training for this week? What are you going to train for next week? Because my approach is going to be different depending on what they tell me.
What are some of your favorite stretches that people can do?
The one that's most effective is one that I have to do for you. I don't focus a whole lot of my sessions on stretching because you should do it on your own. I give homework to all my clients. You need to do this because you're not getting massage every day. But you're working your body every day. You need to do something in between. I don't want you coming back in the same position as you were last week. You have to take care of yourself in between. So one of the stretches I do is actually an orthopedic stretch that I learned last year. So I also do, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I'm certified orthopedic manual therapist, and then certified myofascial sports performance and bodywork therapist. A little mouthful, but I do a lot of orthopedic work, which is it can be very quick and very effective. Whereas massage therapy, you're going to need a little bit more time. If you're about to go on the field in 5 minutes, I'm not going to do massage therapy on you because there's no time. I can do a quick orthopedic stretch that's going to take 30 seconds, and you're going to be able to turn your head faster. Your hips are going to be more loose. That takes about a minute, that stretch. So it depends on where you are. Like I said, I do a lot of orthopedic work with people who are going to perform in the near future.
When you worked with WWE, you were coming in as like a regional basis. So what type of work were you doing with those guys? More of the short, get them ready to go out there?
When I worked on those guys, it wasn't necessarily before they go out on stage. It was whenever they had time and whenever I was free. So I might see them before they go out and perform. I might see them after they've performed. So, I was kind of angled it on how where they were in that day and what their needs were. A lot of it was a lot of deep tissue type of work. I'm very strong. Although I'm small, I'm very strong. A lot of people get that misconception that I can't do the work because I'm not very big. I've had athletes come to me. I work on them. They come in and I work on them, and they'll tell me at the end, they're like, I came in here and I thought this was going to be worthless. I looked at you and you didn't look like you could do anything. And they're like, but man, you're probably one of the strongest people I've ever had. I've heard that so many times from general public, from the wrestlers, from the NFL people. So like I said, I'm pretty strong. A lot of these athletes in all aspects, they like deeper work. They can handle it because they know what the body needs. The general public that I work on, it's more education to them because they're not familiar with the fact is, you come in with lower back pain, you can't sleep at night, you can't drive your car, you can't do this, this, and this. But they come in and they want light work. And I'm like, well, we can do light work, but it's not going to take care of the problem you're experiencing. And it's like deep tissue, it can be sensitive, yes. And I follow through with the client about what's too much, what's not enough. But the more consistent you are, the less sensitive it is. I relate it to working out, people who are in fitness. So the first time you probably ever did squats, you probably felt like a truck hit you the next day because your body's not used to it. But then you did it the next week and then the next week, and you notice every single week you're less sore because your body's conditioning to it and becoming healthy, recovering faster. So I try to educate people on, well, if you have this issue, this is what we need to do. It's okay if you don't want to do that, but understand you're still going to have that problem after you leave here. So some people will come in, it's their birthday, they want a nice massage. That's okay. That's great. But if you're coming to me because your lower back hurts or you have chronic migraines that are due to tension and stress, if you don't do the work that is necessary, you're going to leave and still have those issues. Now, when I work on you, it depends on how severe it is and how long you've let it go. Sometimes you can fix things in one session. Sometimes it's going to take multiple sessions. Pain is always the last result. A lot of people, their issues they've had for a while. So what the body does is it tightens up and you acclimate to that dysfunction. Like if you ever look at older people and they're crouched over and they're not in pain, but they're crouched over and you look at them like that looks uncomfortable. Well, their body acclimated to it. So it's no longer pain. It is dysfunction, but it's not painful. Eventually, because you're putting your body in that position, you will eventually develop the pain. And it may not be in that area, but because you're hunched over, that's going to hurt your neck. So then you're going to have neck issues. It's going to bother your shoulder. So maybe your back doesn't hurt where the hunch is, but it's going to affect all the areas around it. So pain is usually the last result. You've had the issue for a while. It's been there for a while. You haven't done anything for it. Usually it's wear and tear on the body. If you sit at a computer all day, you're going to have neck issues and upper back issues. That just goes across the board. My dental clients, they always have an issue on one side because they're turning constantly and looking down. So people in certain fields typically have the same things. NFL players, their biggest thing is hamstring pulls. So it depends on what you're doing for a living. If you're retired, are you in the garden all day? I have clients who do that. Then you're going to probably have back issues because you're bending over. I have a client who can't grip anything anymore because she has too much pain in her hand. So I'm talking to her. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do daily? Well, I clip coupons a lot. Okay, so you've been doing that for a long time, for years, and you keep clipping the coupons every day, even though you can't hold a cup. Yeah, and they don't understand, well, that's probably not benefiting you. It's probably making it worse. So I try to go through people's daily life and what is it that they're doing that they can maybe adjust and so that we don't develop that pain. Yesterday I worked on a mother. She has a toddler and a baby. She has issues on one side of her body from carrying the child, carrying the baby, and breastfeeding. And I was telling, and she doesn't do any exercise because she doesn't have time, she says, and then she doesn't stretch at all. So she's doing nothing, and she's holding a 25-pound child and then a baby also. So that's just going to lead to issues. And I always tell people, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. But for instance, the one with the mother, I can't tell her, don't pick up your child anymore. So when you have an instance where you can't change your circumstance, we then look at how to maintain it. So there's going to be some dysfunction if you're constantly carrying a 25-pound baby. So obviously that's not going to end until the child's like a little bit older. So now we have to work on maintaining, and if you're going to constantly put pressure on that area, you got to stretch it afterwards when you do have free time. You have to do that, or else your body's just going to continue to have that pain. She has pain when walking, pain when breastfeeding, pain when holding the child. So I told her you have to start taking care of yourself in that aspect. And we're looking at maintenance because you can't change your circumstance. But then there's a lot of people who they're sitting at a desk. Well, you can change the position of your computer screen. You can change the position of your chair. Those are things that you can change to alleviate your problems altogether, eventually. So it depends on what situation you're in. I don't just go and work on someone. I talk to them. What is it that you do every day? What is it that you can change? What is it that you can't change and you have to do maintenance on? Do you play a sport? What position are you in? Because I'm going to approach a quarterback differently than I would an offensive lineman. So it really depends. And I talk to people and then I educate them about why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because when I tell an athlete I'm going to do orthopedic work on you, he's going to look at me with like, I have 4 eyes. He has no clue what I'm talking about. So when I'm doing that type of work, I show them before and after. This is your range of motion in your shoulder before I've done any of it. Then I'll do the orthopedic work, and then they'll see that their shoulder, visually, they can see that it went past a certain point. And they're like, they call it the wow factor. They're like, wow, because it's instant. Orthopedic work is instant results. Again, when you get instant results, your body likes dysfunction, so you have to maintain it with the stretching and all that stuff. Otherwise, your body's going to go right back to what it's comfortable with. So that's why I give people homework, and I just like to educate and talk to you about why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what you need to do in between.
I mean, everybody knows that you should be doing the stretching, obviously, before the game to get ready. Mm-hmm. How important is the stretching afterwards?
I've been asked that. There's a lot of different answers for that. I've done a lot of research on it. I have found arguments for both. So I cannot sit here and tell you, I think you should do it before or I think you should do it after. There's too much different information out there where one person will say, don't do it before and only after. Another person, who's in that field will say, well, just do it the other way. So there's too much contradictory information. I say, do what you feel is best for you. There's a lot of things like in life with taking care of your body. You have to figure out what's your maximum. When I do stretch you, you have to tell me if there's any pain, then I have to stop. If there's a history of dislocations, I can't do specific stretches on you. So that depends. I just tell people, do what you feel is best. Do your own research, because the research I've done contradicts each other. So I can't say that I have a definite answer. So if I don't have an answer, go do your own research, decide what you feel is best.
So really, athletes need to kind of be their own advocate. So
yes,
if stretching before the game isn't working for them, maybe perhaps they should stretch a little afterwards as well.
Yes, there's an aspect to it. If you stretch yourself too much, you don't want to tire out your muscle if you're about to do a game. So again, the educating people on what's going to work for you and what's not. You don't want to overstretch something and then cause an injury. Again, that's why where I come in, I'm trained. I know what I'm doing. I have the experience. A lot of people don't know about their body. They don't know what their body can handle, what their body can't handle, and what's too much and what's not enough. So you really have to figure that out. And the only person that can do that is you. Like when I stretch people, you have to tell me if it's too much, because I can't visually see. I can see where your body wants to kind of stop a little bit, but if you're in pain, I can't feel your pain. So you have to tell me. You have to conversate with me about what is good for you and what's not working for you.
If somebody's looking to hire somebody that does what you do, what are some of the things they should look for? Maybe some questions they should ask before they hire somebody like in your field.
You should be licensed. There are certain states in this country that don't require licensing for massage therapy. And if they don't require licensing, then they don't really require the education, the certifications, the education that you have to maintain your licensing. For instance, I'll give you an example. I know a teacher who has a student right now who was a massage therapist for 15 years in Vermont. And apparently Vermont doesn't require you to have a license. And this teacher told me that that person doesn't know what they're doing as a student because they were never trained. They weren't required to be trained. In Connecticut, you're required to have a license. So I had to go to school for 2 years. I had to do all my clinical hours, and I had to take a test, a written test about knowledge of the body, because it's important to understand what you're doing, not just do it, but why you're doing it. So you want to look for someone who has the credentials. Everyone needs to start somewhere. So for experience, it's great to have someone. If you're a pro athlete, you need someone who has experience. If you're just the general public, it's okay to go to someone who's new. Everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone has to gain experience somehow. But I would look for someone who's licensed, someone who has reviews for you to look at. I have on my website, I believe, 361 reviews, and I have a 4.9 stars out of 5. So I have all those people have reviewed me. They've written descriptions of how their experience was. So anyone can go in there and look at it and say, hey, this person's I want to see this person. I want to try it. So if you're a professional athlete, like I said, you need to find someone with the credentials and someone who is experienced. If you're the general public, just find someone who's licensed and has a good reputation. You also want to go to a safe space. I always say, if you see a massage place that has neon lights in the window saying we're open, keep walking. Places like that are not legitimate. If you're really serious about improving your body, you need to find someone in a legitimate space. I work out of a wellness center. Some people do work out of their house. That's okay. But there's a lot of places that give massage therapy a bad reputation. I can spot those a mile away. Other people can't. So just, location. And you want to be safe. You want to make sure if you're with the right therapist, you're going to be safe with them because you're trusting them. People come into me and they have to trust me. And I realize that with every single person that comes in. So I have to establish that trust and find someone that you mesh with. Not every client, I'm very good at what I do, but not every client is for me. I'm not going to work well with every client. And that's okay. That is perfectly fine. Some clients will tell me, oh my gosh, I got a gift certificate at Christmas, so I have to go to this other place. But I'm going to come back to you. Like, don't get mad at me. And I'm like, I'm not upset about that. Go and figure out what works for you. A lot of them come back and say, hey, your work is better suited for me than that person. So go experience what works for you. If I'm not the right therapist for you, I want you to go out and find what works for you. And if I am the right therapist for you, then it will be easily found out within the first session.
If people want to find out more about some of the benefits, like what are some maybe benefits that people would be surprised to know about massage therapy?
Injury prevention. Injury prevention is a big one. A lot of people don't even think about it. There's a lot of things in life, like if you think about it, it will make sense to you. But that's one of the things a lot of people overlook. They don't understand, well, why did they get this pull? And when they get this pull, they can't do their workouts in the gym for 2 weeks because they have to recover. Or if you're an athlete, you can't play in this game because you're injured. So a lot of it is injury prevention. Most people will come to a massage therapist when they have a problem. If you are someone who works out regularly, you want to make sure you're preventing those injuries so that you don't have that downtime. For someone who's an avid person to work out, if you have to sit out for 2 weeks because of an injury, that's going to drive you nuts. I've seen it. I've done it. I have a client who injured his back because of not doing the right preventative things, and he hasn't been able to do a back workout for months. But if he had done the right things beforehand, that probably wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't have had that downtime. And mentally, if working out is great for you mentally, and if you have to stop, it's going to drive you crazy. I've done it before. I've experienced it before. Once you get into it, it's like a drug. You just keep doing it. You just feel good. But sometimes life will force you to stop, and injuries will force you to stop. So I think injury prevention would be the biggest one.
Excellent. And if people want to learn more about you, more about your services, where can they find you on the web, on social media?
Social media and the web. I have a website, messagebymassage.com. That's where all my reviews are. They're verified reviews. It's not anything that I can go in and write. I've never done that in my 10-year career. I know other therapists have done that. I've never done that. All of my reviews are from legitimate people. Clients that I've worked on. I have all of my information about my home base, which is in Newington, is all there. For people who aren't in Connecticut or I'm traveling to them, I do have social media. I use Instagram mostly at ASHEL84. That's the one I use the most. I do have a Twitter account, which I need to be better about working with that. But Instagram is the one I use the most. I pretty much share my professional life, some of my personal life, some aspects I just keep to myself. But professionally, like how I'm struggling, how I'm succeeding, how I got to those points of succeeding. What do you do when you do have this struggle? How do I handle that? If you want to accomplish something in your career, how do you do it? I speak a lot about those things. I'm very authentic. And most people thank me for letting them see my journey and how I've succeeded. A lot of people have told me that through my Instagram account and seeing what I post and talking about the struggles, they've told me I motivate them. I've had people, I don't feel this inside, but I've had people come to me and tell me two things. I inspire them and I motivate them. Personally, I don't feel like I do that, but I've had too many people tell me that where it has to be true.
Any message you'd like to leave with the listeners?
Whether you do massage therapy or chiropractic services or any kind of alternative therapy, educate yourself on what your body needs, because some people are going to respond better to chiropractic care. Some people, the chiropractic care won't work for them and massage therapy does. I know people from both aspects, and I've experienced that myself. So educate yourself on how your body is going to respond to certain things and can be consistent. A lot of people will come to me with an injury. I will work on it. The pain will go away, and then they won't see them for 6 months. And when they come back to me in 6 months, they have the same problem. So you have to be consistent in whatever avenue it is that you do, stretching, chiropractic care, massage therapy. Be consistent. Even when you're feeling good, keep doing it because you want to prevent it from happening again.
What is the difference between massage therapy and chiropractic care?
Chiropractic deals with bones, and massage therapy deals with muscles. They do go hand in hand. If your spine is out of alignment, your muscles are going to be dysfunctional around that area. If you have an injury in your muscle, it could put your spine out of balance. So they do go hand in hand. I do encourage people to do both. I do both. I get adjustments. But that's the big one is the bones and the muscles. One is for one. Chiropractic is for bones, spinal, joints, things like that. Massage therapy is for muscular issues.
Excellent. Cool. All right, Ashley, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you.
All right, everyone. That was my conversation with Ashley Liles. And one of the biggest takeaways for me that I was surprised to hear was how beneficial massage is even before an injury. I always had this preconceived notion that, all right, my back hurts or something hurts, I'm going to go get a massage, when one of the biggest benefits is to be able to stretch those muscles and get those muscles prepared. And even the science behind the type of massage that you're going to get based upon the next time you're going to perform, how many hours, days, weeks in advance. It was all very, very fascinating. And I hope that you guys, in whatever stage of your career is, this is definitely something that you need to look into to help take better care of your body so that you can perform better on the field. We talk a lot on the show about, mentally being prepared to play better. Here's one where you can physically be prepared to take better care of your body, to stay loose, limber, to have less chance of injury due to not being prepared to actually perform. And Ashley was a great guest. Definitely check her out on her social media channels, on her website, and we'll see you on the next episode. Let's send it over to the Zambonis.